Night fighters carrying airborne radar were given a continuous running commentary from ground control in order to vector them into the general vicinity of an RAF bomber. The British response was to give false instructions on the same wavelength used by the German pilots to confuse them. Although Hermann Goering is seen here inspecting a 110 night fighter, the sometime chief of the Luftwaffe remained woefully ignorant of technical matters relating to the night fighter arm. Whilst the Luftwaffe had employed earlier variants of the Ju-88 in the night fighter role, it was only with the introduction of the G series in late 1943 that the type really began to fulfill its potential. When the British captured this particular plane in July 1944, they discovered that its Flensburg radar was attuned to the moniker tail warning radars employed by RAF bombers to warn them of the approach of German night fighters. The entry into service of the G1 coincided with a marked rise in RAF losses in early 1944 and was to continue flying until war's end in 1945. The G6 variant employed more powerful Junkers Umo inline engines to give the type higher speed. Although the radar combinations were some of the most sophisticated, it arrived too late to make any significant impact on the air war. This G6 allows us to view the fixed angled guns mounted atop the fuselage to allow the Ju-88 and Me-110 to fire into the vulnerable belly of RAF bombers. Operating up to a range of 30 miles, the Naxos passive homing device fitted on top of the canopy allowed Ju-88s to fix the positions of RAF bombers by the emissions from their H-2S bombing radar. The ferocity of the air war and the darkness over Germany can be illustrated by examining RAF bomber losses between January 1943 and March 1944. This period covered the battles of the Ruhr, Hamburg and Berlin. 5,881 British heavy bombers were lost in this period. German night fighter crews, although accounting for most of these RAF planes brought down, had also suffered heavy losses. Another bomber type converted to the night fighter role, albeit in small numbers, was the Dornier Do-217. Employing both radial and inline engines, the Liechtenstein-equipped J and N variants were not a success, the type being found to be too heavy, slow and cumbersome for the night fighting role. It was taken off active service by 1944. Alongside the Me-110G2, 1942 also saw the appearance of the specialised, more heavily armed Me-110G4 night fighter. With the emergence of this 110 and also of the Ju-88 night fighters carrying the same Liechtenstein radar and mounting large nose-mounted antennae, film coverage of night fighters ceases altogether. In the air war above the Reich, each side was now employing devices in their planes that placed them on the cutting edge of the new black art of electronic warfare, wherein the need to preserve secrecy was paramount. Believed by many in Germany's night fighter arm to have been the aircraft that could have won the air war was the Heinkel HE-219. Indeed, some say it was the best night fighter of the war. Although many of the claims for the performance of the type have been questioned since, there is no doubting that, had it entered full production, the 219 might have changed the odds in the night skies over Germany. The most important voice against the 219 was Field Marshal Erhard Milch. Charged with oversight of aircraft production, he was firmly of the opinion that the 219 was a plane too many, and that its role could best be carried out by the Ju-88. Heinkel managed to produce a total of 195 of the 219s, with another 73 being produced and employed for research purposes. Those that flew shot down 104 heavy bombers. Night fighter aces were fated by the German press in the same fashion as the single-seat fighter aces. The highest scoring of the Nachtflieger was Wolfgang Schnaufer, who shot down 121 aircraft in 164 operational sorties. On October 16, 1944, he was awarded the Diamonds to his Knight's Cross at the same ceremony as Jagdwaffe ace Erich Hartmann, received his from Hitler at his headquarters at Rastenburg in East Prussia. All of Schnauffer's kills were made in a 110 G4. He served as Gruppen commander of 4 NJG1. Schnauffer survived the war only to die in a motoring accident in 1950. Oberst Helmut Lent, commander of NJG3 and holder of the Knight's Cross with Diamonds, achieved 105 victories. He died in an accident in October 1944 when he and his 2 crewmen crashed in their 110 at Paderborn in bad visibility. Prince Sein-Wittgenstein scored 83 victories, the bulk of his kills employing the Ju-88. He was shot down and killed on the 21st of May 1944. In the course of the air war in the night skies over Germany, circumstances often forced the defenders to adopt unusual methods for downing RAF bombers. Following the introduction of window in 1943, an ex-bomber pilot named Hayo Hermann proffered the idea of employing single-seat day fighters to attack RAF bombers fixed by German searchlights over the target area,